edition. We are in our legal corner, and now we continue our law series with the letter J. You know, we've been doing A to Z here on the show, informing you on what you need to know about juries today. We welcome now our attorney and our legal correspondent, David Lesch, to the show. And J is the order of the day.
Yeah, you know, J is not an easy letter.
J is not an easy letter.
Immigration, that was easy. L, you had landlord. There are some letters that are very easy.
I'm dealing with J right now.
J is very hard. You get jurisdiction, that's a little boring. Judges aren't, well, particularly interesting to discuss in terms of being on the show. Even juries, well, you know, juries, it's not that interesting, but if you mix juries with social networking, now you have an interesting topic, right?
Okay, there you go.
So there you go. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how I might use social networking and juries. For instance, I'm on trial, right? Or during jury selection, I'm looking at questionnaires and I'm going through all the different answers. Your name, you know, what area you live in, the kind of work you do. Have you ever brought an action against anybody? Has anyone brought one against you? Questions, you've seen the questionnaires.
Right.
And then you ask the juror the answers, and you go over the different answers, and you discuss the issues. But how do you know if the juror is really telling you the truth? How do you really know what answers are true and what answers are not necessarily true? And you're trying to protect your client's interest. You want to pick a juror who you think is going to be favorable to your client. So what do? Well, you can go back to your office, maybe during a break, and actually Google the name of that client. You can look up, Google the name of the juror. You can look up the juror. However, what about contacting the juror? Well, let's see what you can and what you cannot do. Let's say you have a Facebook account and you have the name of a juror and you put the name of the juror in, and there comes the juror's profile, and you're looking up all about the juror, what they do. Was it really what they said they do? What kind of activities they participate in? The groups that they belong to? Can you do that? What do you think? Do you think as an attorney I'd be able to go on to a Facebook page to somebody who's decided to have it open for the public and take a look and research with this particular juror? What do you think? Your gut reaction, could I do this or not?
My gut reaction says no, but I'm pretty sure you're going to tell me yes.
Okay, well, you can.
So the answer is yes.
Well, yeah, but now let's say I want to go a little further. Say I want to friend the juror.
Can't friend.
Well, that's what the trial is going to be for a couple of weeks, a month. I have some time on my hands.
You can't friend the juror.
No, you can't.
Okay.
Why? Because you're actively trying to engage into some kind of communication with the juror, maybe persuade the juror.
I thought you were going in another direction.
Well,
I was about to say what?
Well, let's go a little further. Let's go a little further. Okay. Let's say you're on LinkedIn. And you look up the juror, and there comes the juror comes right up. Now, remember with Facebook, if you're looking at somebody's profile, well, they don't know you're looking at their profile, right? You can look at anybody, and they don't know you're looking at them. There's no way they know. But now you're on LinkedIn, and you look this particular juror up, and they don't, you know, you're not sending a message. You're not trying to say, let's link in together. But they get an email, an automated email that says, look who's been looking at your profile. Attorney David Lesch has looked at your profile. Is that okay? What do you think?
Yes.
It's not.
Really?
It's not, because now the juror knows that you're looking them up.
Okay.
That you're actually trying to communicate and possibly influence them because you're looking up who they are. Maybe now they're going to look at you.
So bottom line, these social networking
So bottom line, it's social.
Cloudy?
Well, it's cloudy. It's cloudy, certainly cloudy, when the attorney is trying to look at a potential juror for purposes of understanding about the juror. But now let's switch it around. Now you're a juror, and you want to look up on social networking sites, let's say, the attorney, the defendant, the witness. What do you think about that? Well, here's the issue. When a judge reads his opening or her opening remarks to the jury, he says, you are not to discuss this case when you leave the courtroom. Not with your spouse, not with your friends, not with anybody. We don't want you to be influenced. We only want you to hear the testimony in the courtroom. Don't Google anybody. Don't look at anybody on any social networks. Okay? So now we know what the judge tells you not to do. So we know what that is. But now somebody goes home and they go on a networking site, Facebook, and they say, oh, this was the worst day I had. Jury duty is horrible on a criminal case. Now somebody puts a little post-it next to it and says, well, why don't you just put the guy in jail, get home early for dinner, we can all move on. The prosecutor or the defense attorney takes a look at that, sees that, and the person's been convicted, let's say. Now they want to take the trial and do it again, have a do-over.
Simply because of possible prejudice.
Well, what do you think? Is that prejudice or not? You now know that a juror has technically said that they're on jury duty, said it's a criminal case, and somebody posting on their site says, just put the person in jail, let's move on, so get you home for dinner. What do you think? Is that grounds for reversal of a trial? What do you think?
Possibly.
Well, in that particular case, the answer was no.
Really?
Because, listen, most people don't like jury duty, and they're going to say, I'm on jury duty. I can't believe I'm on jury duty. That's not great. And when you say that to somebody out in the world, they might say, what kind of case is? Yeah, a criminal case. That's all you're going to say. It's a criminal case. Oh, why don't you just, convict or do something? These are normal conversations that people do have. Mm-hmm. So that's not influencing. Really, the court didn't think that was enough to say that you're influencing the trial. We're not going to order a new trial there. Okay? Even though you did convict him. Mm-hmm. Right? But now let's go a little further. Let's say that particular juror then, sees the defendant up on the stand, the person who's convicted, who's been accused of a crime, and goes home and looks him up on Facebook and says, he seems kind of nice. Friend request. What do you think?
Problem.
That's a problem. Now you're really trying to actively communicate with the defendant. That is a no-no. That is grounds for a reversal. You can't communicate with anybody who's in that courtroom. You can't communicate with the witnesses. You can't communicate with the court, with the attorneys. When I pass jurors in the hall, I look down. I don't even look them in the eye. No facial expressions at all. And when you pick a juror, you'd say, please don't take it personally. I'm not going to look at you. I'm going to go to a different elevator if I see you there. I can't have any communications with you. So why should we allow a juror to go home and social network with somebody who's in that courtroom? Right? It's just as bad, isn't it?
Right. So what do we do?
What do we do? Okay, if you're the attorney, I think you can Google the jurors to find out where they are, where they're from. The ethics seems to suggest that you can do it. Actively communicating with them is obviously a no-no. The gray area where the juror ends up finding out that you're communicating with them with a LinkedIn, for instance, you got a problem. So you better pick an area where no one's going to know that you're looking, where the juror could not possibly know that you're looking at them.
So say, for instance, right now, I get called to jury duty. Well, let's not use you.
Well, I couldn't because
right.
I know you. So
right.
That's
that's the question I'm going to ask.
Okay.
If there are two people that know each other, then automatically that's not going to happen.
That's right. Well, the first thing when you introduce yourself to a jury, a potential jury, and you're going to do jury selection in maybe a day or 2 days of jury selection, the first thing you say is, hi, my name is David Lesch. This is my firm. These are my partners. Do you know me? Do you know my partners? My client's name is so-and-so. Do you know my client? Do you know anybody in the family of my client?
Now, here's the question.
Let's say you said yes.
Uh-huh.
I'd say it was nice meeting you.
Right.
We have other juries for you.
Now, let me ask this question with regards to social networking. You know how we have friends on Facebook, yes, and they're not our friends, but later on you find out that, hey, I'm your friend on Facebook.
Right, and you didn't realize that they were your friends.
There you go. There you
That's
go.
okay.
Really?
Because you didn't know. You didn't realize it. You know how many friends people have? They don't even know that they're friend of a friend? That would be different.
Okay.
That would be different. Because you don't, see, it's a case-by-case basis, isn't it? You want to make sure that that juror was not influenced by anybody else. Jury tampering. You want to make sure that they weren't influenced by a friend of a friend of a friend. But if they didn't even know who this person was, well, then it's no good. Now, one last thing I'm going to throw at you. The judge has reason to believe that you may have been social networking or doing something involving the case, but doesn't know for sure, but has a reason to believe because somebody brought it up. So the judge says, I want your password. I want to take a look at your Facebook account. Daren, let me take a look. What do you think? You got to give it to a judge? Yeah. It's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
Really?
No, you have privacy rights. That's your account. How do you know that I was looking at a social networking site? Who are you to look at my private accounts and my private photographs? You need more than that. And a magistrate in federal court who ordered it to give me your password so we can see what you were doing during the trial was reversed by a federal judge who said, no, no, no.
Wow.
No good.
That's why you're my lawyer.
That's so much stuff I give you for the letter J.
I'm telling you, man. Thank you for coming
You're
by.
welcome. Now, what am I going to do for K?
I don't know. We'll find out next week, right?
I guess.
David Lesch. Talk about today's verdict very quick.
Today's verdict, we've had some great shows. Most of the shows that we've been doing have been helping a lot of kids in terms of what their rights are, websites, also with social media, their rights in school, what type of, especially kids with autism, what legal rights that they have. So we've done some real good stuff, and we got a good month to 2 months worth of shows already booked. I'm going to let you watch to find out what we're going to be doing.
All right, David Lesch, today's verdict. You can catch him every Tuesday right here on BronxNet's Channel 67.
6:30.
6:30 it is. All right.